I found it fascinating that two organizations got together to do something as significant as that.
Yeah, we were really pleased to work with American Soybean Association on that study. And we came together because we had a common interest in wanting to communicate what a renewed tariff situation on our products would mean for farmers. And we share so many of the same grower members as well.
And that report, I mean, you talked to a lot of folks, you did a lot of studies, and it showed some very significant impact that tariffs would have.
Yeah, definitely. When we look at what would happen, what we were really diving into is what would happen if, if we assume that the U.S. may put tariffs on some other nations, but specifically China in this study, looking at what happens if China retaliates with tariffs on U.S. corn and soybeans. And as you just said, definitely big impacts on our export amounts to China, big reductions in what we're exporting. And in the study, we also accounted for some alternative trade flows that would happen as a result of that. But even with that, price was also impacted for corn. We were looking at a change in price of losing 8 to 12 cents per bushel. And when we're already in a really tight margin environment where prices are already not covering costs of production, losing any amount is a really big deal.
And I'm sure that the legislative folks for Illinois corn and Illinois soybeans have conveyed all of that to members of the House and the Senate. What has been feedback that you have been aware of from that study?
Yeah, I mean, I think that just a lot of interest in what it was showing. And I mean, really what we were showing was, thinking back to the 2018 situation, we really just saw the same type of impacts at that period, and this was sort of looking at what happens if a similar situation happens now. And so I don't know that the impacts were necessarily surprising, but at the same time it was putting some numbers to them as what does this look like in today's environment. And again, really putting into perspective of what does any sort of price drop look like, and what does that mean for farmers who are impacted when we're already in this tough economic environment.
Do you think that this study will have legs and carry on into the new administration?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, one of our goals in putting it out there, prior to the election and when we didn't know who the next president was going to be, we were hearing growing talk of tariffs from both sides of the aisle, growing interest in that. And the Biden administration did not remove the tariffs that were in place on China from the Trump era. So we saw this from both sides. Especially with President Trump now, we know going forward that tariffs are a big part of his policy goals. And so I think having it out there is really helpful, and we can use it as a tool to hopefully communicate the need for, in the last trade war, we had to go through that tariff situation that was hard for U.S. corn and soybeans and other ag products. But it did result in the phase one trade agreement, which included purchase commitments of U.S. ag products, and that really did bring a lot of renewed trade volume into the market. And so, I think one thing that we're also trying to communicate is here's what tariffs could do to U.S. farmers. Let's jump to a renewed trade agreement and expanding on where we left off with President Trump the last time with that phase one trade agreement. Can we work past the tariffs and get to a new trade deal?
He sold the concept of tariffs very well to the voting public, but I don't know that a very large percent of them really understood what a tariff really is.
Yeah, I think definitely that, and I think too we're talking about two pieces. So we hear a lot about that tariffs are bringing in revenue for the U.S. government, but there's a couple pieces. We were putting tariffs on products from other nations, and that does bring in revenue to the U.S. government. But the importers in our country are the ones that are paying that. They're paying the higher price to import. At the same time, we had retaliatory tariffs. Another nation putting tariffs on our products. Similarly, in that case, their importers are paying more for our products, our agricultural products, and their government is, so we have these multiple. It's not like a simple when you have tariffs and retaliatory tariffs, you've kind of got a bunch of different things going that is really it can be difficult to understand really where is the cost being added and who is accruing the returns from that.
So really, the American taxpayer or the American consumer is going to be paying more, and a foreign consumer is going to be paying more.
Yeah.
That just raises inflation a little bit.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the impacts that we could see happen as a result of that.